You scroll through hundreds of job descriptions, but they all sound the same. You spend so much time on every application, but it doesn't seem to matter. You send off application after application, but never hear back. You thought the interview went so well, but it's a no. You jump through all the hoops. The news keeps saying how there are all these employers that are struggling to find people to hire. So why does finding a great job have to be so hard? It doesn't seem very logical or fair. It's not. The system is broken. It's not your fault. The process most people go through to get a job is awful. But here's the good news. The system isn't very smart. In fact, it's downright dumb. It can be beaten. How? Most prospective employers and employees today are using the same old tired strategies that have been around forever. It's like professional camouflage. Everybody just blends into the crowd. But you don't have to be that way anymore. You can get traction. You can stand out from the crowd to unleash your God-given potential, to help a world in need, to do work that matters, to earn what you and your family deserve. You can do this. You're meant to do this. There are bright things on the horizon for you. This is the way. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the workshop. Get hired fast without settling, getting ignored, or losing hope. My name is Eric Woodard. I'm a high-performance career and leadership coach based out of Washington, D.C. And if you're here live with us on this fabulous Tuesday, 4th day of July, I'm so happy you're here. I know how valuable your time is. And just really salute you for being here. If you're not watching us live and you're watching the replay, you are also very cool. Not quite as cool as the people who are here live. Also quite cool. If you would, and I already see so many of you, I see Brian and Catherine and Karen and Clara and Tom, if you would put in the chat where you're from and how long you've been on the job search, because I want to know, because we're going to get started right now, right? Because sometimes being on a job hunt, John and Tom in Attica, right? Sometimes it can feel like pounding sand. Sometimes being on a job hunt, Clara in Orlando and Karen in Beavertown, can feel like waiting on a glacier. Tom in South Dakota. Sometimes it can feel like wandering through the desert. Curtis in Portland. Sometimes John in Philly and Victoria in Oregon and Robert in Mass and John in Fishers, right? Sometimes it can feel like going into the arena. I see you there, Kim, on 3 months. Patricia in North Carolina and Derek in Madison and Yen in Augusta and T in Alabama. Sometimes it can feel like looking to the abyss. Sonia in New York, right? Nava since 2022, right? I see you there, Joyson in Atlanta and Michael in Arizona. So who's this for? If you are unsure about the direction you want your career to go, if you're struggling to find ways to figure out what you're going to do, if you're uncertain if your resume is any good, Danny in Ontario, if you're wrestling with how to follow up after you apply, Karen, right? 6 months. I see you there, Karen. If you're tired of applying and hearing nothing back, Dominique in Baltimore, 13 months, Luke in Columbus, 4 months. If you're doing interviews that seem to go great and then you get a big fat no, Harold in Ohio, right? If you're trapped in a job that you don't like and you're not sure how to get out of it, and most of all, if you're losing hope, this is a workshop for you. Who's this nod for? This is definitely not you, Artie in Columbus, right? This is for you, right? But if you're somebody who's super casual about your career, not willing to do work, reluctant to take responsibility for the results you've been getting, just interested in finding a job to make money or stuck in your ways, and you know a lot of stuff, you know a lot of reasons why your job hunt isn't working. If you're unwilling to be authentic, this may not be the workshop for you. So what you're going to learn today, how to get hired fast without settling, getting ignored, or losing hope. I'm going to offer you 4 strategies and 9 tactics that you can put to work today. Kenny in Oklahoma. Okay, right? So you can do work that matters and pays what you and your family deserves, right? I see there, Sonia, right? Interviews, but get ghosted. We're going to talk about that. So our agenda for today, who is this guy, right? I'm going to offer you 4 strategies, 9 tactics. I have an invitation for you, right? For some of you have, just so you know, some of you have joined this call. I know because you've already written me and you've said, hey, I've heard the results you get people. Like somebody who got a job working with you has reached out and told me I got to get paired up with you. If that's you and you already know you want to work with me, that's fine. I'm going to have an invitation at the end of this call. And if you're just here and you're just, wanting to get some good career stuff, that's great. Yes, I have a program. People pay me real American dollars to get them hired fast. So, but if that's not you, that's fine. So I'm going to have an invitation and then we're going to have time for Q&A. Yeah, I see you there, George in Houston. So who is this guy and why does he think he can help me find a job? Well, first of all, I don't know if I can help you find a job. Although I've helped a lot of people find jobs in a lot of different industries, in a lot of different places, at a lot of different levels. I grew up overseas. I grew up in Asia, right? Came to the States when I was about 17. Wound up transferring college 7 times. This is me in the Midwest wondering why it's so damn cold. I wound up as a scuba instructor on Guam, where I spent about 10,000 hours underwater, which was awesome. And after I'd spent those 10,000 hours underwater, I thought, you know what? My brain's getting a little spongy. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with my career. So I thought, what would be the most prestigious job I could have in the world? And I thought, well, that must be something like the White House. So I said, well, that makes sense. So I took out a piece of paper, wrote a letter, said, dear Mr. President, you should hire me, and mailed it to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And I figured, well, I'm never hearing back from those bastards, but that was a good use of a Tuesday afternoon. But I kept doing my thing. And about a month later, I was going past the Guam post office and the guy came out and he said, Eric, you got this letter from the White House. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool. I opened it up and it was an internship application. Now, I didn't know what the hell an internship was, but I was really good at filling out applications because I transferred college so many times. So I filled that out, sent it in, and I'm like, I'm never hearing from those guys. But that got me thinking. I applied to some grad schools. This was a long time ago, right? I wound up getting into GW here in DC. I wound up landing with big bushy haircut, was like dumpster diving for furniture, right? Bought a pair of running shoes, was out running past the White House one day, and I thought, those White House bastards, they never even bothered to let me know about that internship thing I applied for. So I figured, well, I'm going to take care of this. So I found a payphone and put in a quarter. I said, hey, you bastards, what about that internship thing? And they're like, is this Eric from Guam? I'm like, yeah, but I'm in DC now. They're like, man, we've been trying to get in touch with you. You start in the First Lady's office on Monday. I'm like, well, that's interesting. So I got a haircut. I bought a suit. Look, my friends, I don't know your politics. I know we got a lot of crazy politics in the United States today. My politics don't match yours. Please forgive me. And this tells you how old I am. This was back during the Clinton administration. I went to work for Hillary Rodham Clinton, and she was a great boss. And I wound up getting hired by her, right? Working with a lot of amazing people. Wound up following her after the Clinton White House to the U.S. Senate, right? Where I did a bunch of crazy stuff there. Then followed Hillary to the State Department, where I did a bunch of UNESCO stuff. And eventually I left Hillary Land and wound up becoming director of fellowships and internships at the Smithsonian Institution. And now I coach, right? And all during this time, both seeing people at all different levels of their career, trying to figure out this job stuff. I'd see the same movie over and over where a not very good system was really preventing people that were trying to make the world better from doing so. And that sort of makes me mad. So that's why I do what I do now, do a lot of coaching, do a lot of speaking, written a whole bunch of books, have an absurd number of degrees and pieces of paper saying how awesome I am. Likewise, have tons of testimonials, and you don't care about any of that. Because what you care about is, can I help you? I don't know, probably. Let's find out. So here we go. 4 strategies. If you don't have something to write with, you're going to want to get something to write with, because we're going to go pretty fast because we got a lot to take care of here today. And we got a nice big crowd. Okay. So we're going to put this in the chat. And just so you know, I tend to give away things to people who put things in the chat. Who can answer this question? What's a good resume about? If you would, put your answer in the chat, please. And there's a little bit of a delay, right? So usually I ask this question and I'm like, oh my God, no one's going to answer. People answer. And here's the question. What's a good resume about? I see there, Karen in Salt Lake, right? So D says you, right? Kim says your. I'm seeing a lot. Zachary says your story. Okay. I haven't seen the right answer yet. Your accomplishments. What do all these answers have in common? It's the word you or your, right? George has capabilities. Right? Why the employer needs you. Jessica, it's not bad. It's not a bad answer. How you can help, right? But I'm noticing there's John. He's saying you in a snapshot. Okay, so you guys are all wrong, right? Oh, Derek, wait a second. Derek Alamanetto, You got the right answer. A good resume. So Derek, we've got some people helping us today. We've got Jessa and Jelly are helping us. So Jessa and Jelly, we want to make sure we send Derek the free little mini course about how to make Derek's LinkedIn profile awesome. We're going to send that to you, Derek, because you got the right answer. A lot of you are saying a good resume is about you, right? John, what you can bring, right? What you can bring to the table, says Nick, right? And that's incorrect. A good resume is not about you, my friends. Because if you want to be influential with another human being, the last thing you want to talk about is you. You want to talk about them. A good resume is not about you. A good resume is about them. Good resume is about the person or organization you're applying to. And when I say resume, I'm talking your follow-up, your cover letter, your networking, right? It's not about you. So if you get nothing else out of this workshop, if you just are watching the replay and you only catch the first 5 minutes of this workshop, if you get nothing out of this, realize that a good resume isn't about you, it's about them. So many job seekers think that the application is about them, and it's not. It's about the person or organization they're sending it to, because the employers, that's who they're focused on, right? And look, it's interesting. A lot of times when it comes to job seeking, we might think that it's about them, or excuse me, about us, because probably the first time we applied for a job or wrote a resume or wrote a cover letter, right? We were doing it coming out of school. And in school, it is very much about us. It's our cubby, our workshop, our desk, our transcript, our trophy. And yet when we move to the working world, those seasoned professionals, hey, Cedric, did I miss you, Cedric? Cedric Justice, right? Cedric, let's make sure we send Cedric that LinkedIn course too. We don't want to leave Cedric behind. And I like people standing up for themselves, Cedric. So we're going to send you that LinkedIn course, right? So in school, it is about us. And yet when we move to the working world, it's about the client, the constituent, the customer, the shareholder. It's not about us. I got you there, Cedric. We got it coming your way. All right. Well, so last one on this. We're going to send it to Karen Stackhouse too. So we got 3 people, Jesse and Jelly. We're going to send this course too. Don't worry, guys. There's going to be more opportunities, right? So the opportunity for you is to make the application about them. It's really, really important. Okay. All right. On to next question. Another chance. Okay. So if we went to a library and we looked at a shelf full of storybooks, and on the front cover of those storybooks, or any book for that matter, there's some words. What do we call those words on the front cover of a book? What do we call those words on the front cover of a book? I bet you know. What are those words called? Let's see if anybody gets it right. I bet we'll have a bunch of correct answers. Tom, and George, and Kim. All right, those were the first 3 I saw, right? Kim and George and Tom. We're going to send you that LinkedIn course because you're right. Claire and Cassandra and Jennifer, it's called the title. Now, isn't it interesting that that's what we call people in the workplace? We give them a title. Just like we put the label on the front cover of a storybook and we call it a title, it's the same thing we do at the workplace. And this brings me to the idea of stories. Okay, let me ask you a question here. So I got another question for you. What % of human decision making is emotional and what % is logical? Right? Is it 50-50, 60-40, 40-60? So what %, thanks, Jess and Jelly, what % of human decision making is emotional and what's logical? Put it in the chat. We'll see if anybody gets it right. Right? Okay, so Brian says 90. George says, so I see 80-20, 90-10. I haven't seen the right answer yet. John says 80-20. Shruti says 60% emotional, right? I'm seeing Kim says 70-30. I haven't seen the right answer yet, right? 80% emotional, says Steven. Nope, nobody's got it right yet. Oh, Derek, but we already gave you, man. Derek, I don't know, Derek, maybe we're going to give it to Scott Oswald, right? Derek was first, but Scott got it right because I think we already took care of Derek, right? Scott Oswald, we're going to give it to you, and we're going to give it to Brian Dew, right? If we haven't already taken care of Brian Dew. So those 2 folks are getting LinkedIn courses. It's 100% emotional. Human decision making is 100% emotional. And the reason we know it's 100% emotional is when somebody gets like their limbic system damaged, like they're fine, except they can't make a single decision, right? And that's the debilitating part, right? So many people walk around and be like, oh, we make data-driven decisions. No, you don't. Nobody does. Human decision making is 100% emotional. Now, and that decision making is also often very quick, right? And it's very emotional, right? You guys got on this workshop today, and in a very short time, you made a decision about me, whether you like my shirt, whether you like the tone of my voice, you like my hair, like you thought I knew what I was talking about. Like it was almost instantaneous. Now you're just collecting data to rationalize the emotional decision you've already made. But the original emotional decision, man, that happens quick. This is why stories are so important, because stories are how we convey emotion to each other. It's like what Maya Angelou said. It's like, people are going to remember how you make them feel. And that's why we want to use story in, hey, thanks, John. I appreciate that. Right? That's why we want to use story in our job search a lot. And if we're not using story, we're really leaving a lot on the table, right? It's really important. So, for example, notice I'm about to tell a story. One time I was taking applications for a program and had a lot of them. It was like over 100. And I noticed this one applicant, her name was Maggie. She told me how, in her cover letter, how the summer before she'd been in a terrible car accident and her arm had been severed. Oh man, that sucks, right? That's terrible. So I'm like, that's quite a story. We got to take Maggie. So waiting for the first day work, Maggie to walk in. She walks in, 2 arms. Now it was bandaged from where it had been partially severed and reattached, and she was doing some physical therapy, right? She was going to be okay. Now, was I pissed off? No way. I was so happy Maggie had both her arms. And I remember that story to this day. Stories make you memorable. Our capacity to remember and process story is like 40 million bits per second. And our ability to process logic is like 20 bits per second. It's orders of magnitude, right? Orders of magnitude greater. Okay. All right. Here's another one. Here we go. Who can tell me who this guy is? What is this guy called? I'll give you a hint. He lives in Idaho. So what's this guy's name? What's this guy's name called? Right? He goes to high school. This guy sort of beats to, well, Sonia, she didn't really lie. She told a story, right? There's a difference, right? Tom Schott, right? And Karen Stockhouse. I think we already took care of Karen, right? Napoleon Dynamite. Exactly, right? We got Karen and Kate. Kate, I see you there. We got a bunch of people, right? I see John Chang and Kate and Karen. Let's make sure we're taking care, and Tom. Let's make sure we take care of those, right? This is Napoleon Dynamite. Now, those of you who are like, who the hell's Napoleon Dynamite? Whatever you do, stop your job search, go watch Napoleon Dynamite. I mean, please, people, we're trying to create a society here. And here's the deal with Napoleon Dynamite in this particular movie. So Napoleon's a high school kid. He sort of beats to his own drum. In this particular scene, he finds himself on stage in front of the entire student body, and he's expected to do some kind of performance, right? He's managed to get a cassette tape up to the sound booth. And so Napoleon proceeds to do the craziest performance you've ever seen. I mean, he just does this dance. I mean, he metaphorically opens the kimono, right? I mean, it's just wild. And when he's done, he's like panting and sweaty, and all his classmates are in the audience like this, and then they burst into applause. And the reason it works is because it's so authentic. Jamie Kern Lima, the founder of Ed Cosmetics, says, everybody's a good dancer. That's right, Mark. Vote for Pedro, right? Everybody's a good dancer if they commit fully. And she's right. And so this brings us to strategy number 3, which is authenticity. People are going to hire you because of who you are, not in spite of it, right? So many people are out there trying to be perfect, right? Trying to be proficient in Microsoft Office. Stop. Let me ask you a question. Who do humans hire? Humans. It's not computers that hire humans or humans that hire computers. And I can hear a lot of you are like, but Eric, what about the ATS? What about the algorithm? Stop. Right? Those of you who've been trying to play that game or investing in ATS-friendly resumes, like, how's that been working out? Yeah, I know. And I'm sorry, right? Humans hire humans. People are going to hire you because of who you are, not inspired. They're going to hire you for one reason. And it's not your skills. It's not your experience. It's not your keywords. It's that they trust you. That's it. And the way we get people to trust us is we be more human. Humans hire humans, okay? So that's the opportunity here. You want to be human. You want to be relatable. I had a client last year. She decided at the bottom of her resume to put 2 truths and a lie. Awesome. She got 2 interviews and 2 offers just from doing that. Humans hire humans. Stop playing the algorithm ATS nonsense. Stop that. Stop doing that. It's not working. And by the way, those of you who are worried about your age and have like suddenly the graduation dates have just magically disappeared off your resume, I mean, it's a tell. Or maybe you're one of these people who like, I'm only going to put the last 15 years of my experience because some 25-year-old told me that that's all they care about. Stop, right? Lots of opportunities for you. So for instance, one time I was working with Nina. Nina was cool, right? We're having a conversation about her resume, and I said, Nina, what do you like to do for fun? And finally I got out of Nina, well, I have a pen collection, right? I'm like, well, that's super weird. We got to put that on there. And she's like, oh, I could never do that. That's silly. So finally I heard from Nina about a month later. She went into the interview. They talked about pens for 30 minutes and then she got the offer. Can't tell you how often this happens, right? So Nava, we're going to come back to your question. It looks like you're asking a good question. And Eric, we'll come back to your question too, Jesse and Jella, if we can make sure we mark those. Okay. Good questions coming in. I see you folks. Okay. I see you. Okay. Let's go. Let's keep going here. Okay. All right. Let's see here. So, yeah, Cedric, that's right. Give them evidence you're human. Exactly. Authenticity is your superpower. Okay. Strategy number 4. Let's go to Abe Lincoln here. He says, give me 6 hours to cut down a tree and I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. Right. And what this brings us to is the idea of systems. You're going to want to have systems in your job search. Thank you, Karen. Right back at you, man. I'm just a mirror, Karen. You're the delight. I so appreciate you. Right. You're going to want to have systems. Right? The results you're currently getting in your job search are just perfectly attuned to your current systems. If you want to get different results, the opportunity is to adopt different systems. And you can spend a lot of time and energy trying to figure out a system that's going to work, or you could just like invest in a system that like we've already figured out. And we don't know like what your exact setting is, but you have one, right? The idea is that if what you've been doing hasn't been working, you don't want to manifest the definition of insanity and just keep doing the same thing, hoping to get a different result. Because how's that been working? Right? There's no such thing as a failed experiment, right? You like just keep trying stuff. Remember, it's not about you, it's about your systems. A lot of you, this is your current system, right? It's got like the sticky button and the gear shift, and you can, and I got to hand it to you. You guys have been doing amazing things with this system. And you're wondering why you can't steer yourself to a successful job search. Well, this is your system. And what you may not realize is this is the system that's available. There are so many things, some of which I've just mentioned already, right, that are available to you that you don't even know about. And your competitors definitely don't know about. This is how we help people get hired fast. For example, and Jessa and Jelly, we're gonna show them Andrew here in a second, right? So I just want to show you an example of somebody that was at this workshop, signed up for the program, and in short order, he used a lot of the things that we help clients with to get like hired real damn fast. Let's show him, Andrew, please.
I got a job offer thanks to Win at Work. I really appreciate all the help and materials and one-on-one coaching. I applied cold to an organization I was interested in and received the automated response, we're pursuing other candidates. And then there was another posting for the same role or similar role in the same organization. And this time I really used a lot of the Win at Work process. I also really appreciate the coaching I received on interview prep from my coach, Patrick, and the Win at Work materials on interview prep. I feel like I really impressed the HR recruiter. She scheduled me for another interview with program directors a couple days later. They were also really impressed and said I had a lot of good answers, and I really just did what I learned in this program. Make it about them, talk about them, be authentic, and now I have my new job offer.
Good job, Andrew. Good job. And so, hey, Nikki and Kenny and John, I see you there in the chat. So, Nikki, is that like Kenny and John, do companies use AI to check resumes? I don't know. Maybe they do. And whether they do or not, it doesn't matter, right? We don't have to play that game. There's more opportunity for you than that, right? We have thumbs. We have thumbs. Okay, so how do you put this all to work? Here we go. So I just want to mention I have a program. It's awesome. It's the program Andrew signed up for. We get people really hired fast. We charge real American dollars to sign up for the program. It's awesome. I'll tell you about it in a little bit. Okay, so let's talk about 9 tactics here, right? 9 tactics that you can use to put some of these 4 strategies into work. Okay, so folks, if you haven't been paying attention to this workshop, please come back to me, and especially if you've been watching the replay, and this is something I like to do for people on the replay. Hey, if you've been watching on the replay, you're going to blah, blah, blah. So I do that because they're usually watching it at like 2 times speed, and when I do that, it's like 9 times speed, so it like wakes them up. Picture a scene. Okay, picture a scene here. So in the middle, there's a lake, and in the middle of the lake, someone's drowning. Okay, now that person's surrounded by little boats. Okay, so in the middle of the lake, someone's drowning, and they're surrounded by other people in little boats. if that was a job search, who's the person drowning? Put it in the chat. Let's see if anybody gets it right. So somebody's in the middle of a lake drowning and they're surrounded by other people in little boats. If that was a job search, who's the person drowning in this scenario, metaphorically? Let's see if anybody gets it right. A lot of times people get this right. The one with no job, says George. I hear you, George. Robert says me. Whoa, Jacob Jensen. Look what Jacob Jensen wrote. He says it's the company, and Jacob's right? And Jennifer Clark, I see you. We're going to give it to you too. So let's make sure we take care of Jacob and Jennifer on this one, right? A lot of us are thinking I'm the one drowning, and it may feel that way because I'm worried about money and my family's giving me a hard time and I got kids to feed. And like, I hear you. I really, really do. And realize you're not the one drowning. You're the one in the boat. It's the employer that's drowning. And the reason we know they're drowning is they've told us. They put out a job description to say, help, I'm drowning. Somebody help me, right? And we're the ones in the boat. So now if we row up to them and act like we're drowning, we say, oh my God, let me save you. I'm the best one to save you. I'm the best one for you. They're going to be like, whoa, dude. Like, I don't know, but that sounds creepy, right? Instead, we want to row up and say, hey, you're drowning. That must be so scary. That's terrible. Let's have a conversation, see how it might be possible to get your rear end out of the water. What's important here is not that I'm the one that pulls you out of the water. What's important here is you don't drown and die. Now, that's the kind of candidate an employer might pay attention to because they're not making it about them, right? They're keeping the focus on the guy in the water, the person in the water, right? And so that's the opportunity for you as mindset. You get nothing out of this workshop. You're going to want to get this. Right? Stop playing the game of, I hope they pick me. I'm the best. Let me sell myself. Just stop. Like, because it doesn't work. It's counterproductive, right? Remember that you're the one in the boat. They're the ones drowning, right? What they think of you is none of your business. You're coming from a place of service, right? Remember, people don't want to be sold. And selling yourself is weird, right? Buying people. I mean, we've gone over this historically, my friends. Like, don't be selling humans is strange and weird and bad, and buying humans is even worse. So don't do that. Stop trying to sell yourself. Start coming from a place of service. This will change everything in your job search. Okay, here we go. Some of you have seen the show Deadliest Catch. Alaskan fishermen go out on the Bering Sea. They put these big steel cages right on the ocean floor with a little bit of bait because they're trying to catch some crab. All of a sudden, Bob the crab comes along. He's like, oh, free lunch. Bob goes in there, starts nibbling, then Sally, then Cheryl, then Charlie. Like, more and more crabs join. Eventually, the bait's gone. Now, here's the interesting part. If and when one of those crabs is like, you know what? There's no more lunch. I'm out of here, boys. And that crab tries to leave, the other crabs will pull that crab back in. They'll even pull off one of their limbs. They'll even do a crab murder to keep that crab from leaving. Because crabs like to be with other crabs. Instinctively, that's what makes them feel safe. And of course, the sad thing is they all get pulled up to become dinner. And this brings us to tactic number 2, which is environment. A lot of you are thinking, well, I'm not making traction on my job search because I'm lazy, procrastinating, right? I don't have time, that my last boss was mean to me. And like, I'm not trying to invalidate any of those things, right? If you've got trauma or a bad situation, like, I'm sorry that happened. And that's not the reason that you're having trouble with your job search. It's your environment. Environment eats all that stuff for lunch, right? Like we think it's us. It's not. It's your physical surroundings. It's the people you're interacting with. Some of you have heard of the idea of reference groups, right? Where the average weight, income, education, the 5 people we're closest to. And they don't even have to be living people. They could be authors that died 100 years ago that we're reading, or the TV shows we watch. Right? So your environment, you really want to optimize it. It's crucial. It's one of the things we help people do in our program. Changes everything, right? You want to safeguard it. And if you've got family members that love you, and as a result, they're wanting you to settle because they love you, we can love them back and we can create boundaries. It's essential, right? Essential. Okay, on to the next tactic. It's hard to hit a blurry target. Sometimes I'll talk to people and I'll be like, how much money you want to make? Oh, anywhere between 50 and 100,000. What do you want to do? Well, I want to help people, right? And I'm like, that's beautiful, and it's really vague. And what this brings us to is vision, right? What's the proverb? Where there is no vision, the people perish, right? And it's the same thing with job searching. You want to have clarity around who's out there that needs help and whether you're somebody that might be able to help them, right? You want to have crystal clear clarity on that. Most people don't have a really clear vision about salary, occupation, goals, right? So if you're the one that does, it's vital and it'll change everything. There's a reason when race car drivers drive 500 miles in a circle that they don't look at the outer wall. It's because the car is going to tend to go where they look. And if you don't have vision, you're going to be like those race car drivers just driving in a circle all day. Sound familiar? Right? You want to have real crystal clear vision. Okay, here's another one for the chat. Here we go. If I went to a store and I bought this, what would I be buying? Put it in the chat if you would, please. What would I be buying if I went to a store and I bought this? Let's see if anybody gets it right. Right? Yeah. Right? What would I be buying if I bought this thing? Like a multi-tool, a tool, says Sarah. Steven says a tool. Jennifer says a drill. See if anybody gets it right. Cedric says capability. Right? Sonia says battery or charger. A tool without power, says Jacob. Right? Nobody, as Victoria says a tool, nobody's got it right yet. Right? Patricia says Ryobi. Yep. Leverage. Okay. So I haven't seen the correct answer yet. So I actually don't need this sitting around my house. When I go to buy this, Karen N. We see you, Karen N. Karen N, make sure that we find you, right? Because we don't have your full last name. Karen N got it right? What I'm actually buying are holes. I'm actually buying a hole because I don't need this sitting around my garage. What I actually need is the hole. And actually, I don't even really need holes, right? I don't need holes in my wall. What I actually need is a place to put the hook. Actually, I don't even need a place to put the hook. What I actually need is a place to hang the picture. And actually, I don't even need that. What I really need is the feeling I get when I look at the picture of my beautiful family that's hanging on the hook, that's in the hole that was made by the drill. Okay. Artie, did we miss you? Let's make sure we take care of Artie Toth too, right? Let's make sure we take care of Artie Toth, right? We don't want to leave you behind. So here's tactic number 4. You want to give them safety. A lot of it. You want to give them safety, right? Most people are just out there like busy talking about themselves, right? And selling themselves. And that's a hot dumpster fire. Other people are out there talking about the drill, which isn't useful, right? We don't want to need either. We want to talk about the thing that they think about when they're laying at bed at night, looking at the ceiling. If we can get to that black swan, changes everything. My friends, you see how this is so much more sophisticated than worrying about ATS systems and hiding our age? We're just working at a different level here. That's how my clients get hired fast. Okay. What keeps them up at night? How can you make them feel seen, heard, and understood? It's not that hard. It's possible for you. Okay. Let's go on to the next tactic. This is one of my resumes, right? And my resume is sort of like a model home of resumes. It's like a kitchen sink. And this brings us to tactic number 5, which is paper. Right? And resumes are kind of stupid, and cover letters and all the things, it's sort of the least bad thing we've come up with since like Roman times. We've just been doing it, right? Because nobody's come up with a better system. And as kind of goofy as they are, the opportunity is to use them in a way that's useful for you, right? Absolutely. That's right, Kim. Hole making machine. Okay. So, and the last thing you want to do is make your paper look like everybody else's. So if you're using software like Teal, or you're using templates, like stop doing that. That's why I'm not such a huge fan of resume writers, because like all the resumes tend to look the same, right? Nobody can do a better resume for Dominique than Dominique or Melanie or Artie or Suzanne or Kim, right? You guys are all going to be able to do your best resumes, because if the reason they're going to hire us is they trust us, we want our stuff to be damn authentic, right? Really, really authentic. And remember, paper is just a communication piece. You don't want to blend in with their crowd. You want to communicate with employers in a way they cannot ignore. So for instance, look at my resume. I have hyperlinks. Now, not rocket science there, but does your resume have hyperlinks? Most resumes don't. They might not even click the hyperlink, but again, it's just a way to stand out. And there's only about 1,000 other things you can do. And by the way, if you've got that big block of text at the top of your resume saying, let me give you my professional summary, like, stop. Those of you who have hired people know that somebody looks at a resume, their eyes are going to go right to experience. And that block of text, it's not serving you. First of all, it's all about you. And there's no context. And it's you telling them a bunch of stuff as opposed to you showing them stuff. And if you're hiding your age and all that kind of stuff, just stop. No wonder you're not getting interviews. Okay. Amara says hyperlink to what? So any organization you've worked to, anything you mentioned in your resume that lives online, any schools you have attended, I bet they've all got websites, Amara. You could hyperlink. Again, it's a way to show them that you're somebody that thinks four-dimensionally. All right. We got some good stuff on this one. Okay, this is tactic number 6. If a job application is submitted and there is no follow-up, does it even make a sound? Does it even make a sound? Right? I would humbly suggest it doesn't. And this brings us to tactic number 6, which is follow-up. Right? So a lot of you are probably, I was just talking to a prospective client earlier today, right? I said, do you follow up? And he said, oh yeah, I sent him a message and I thank him for their time. I'm like, what do you mean thank him for their time? He's like, you mean like after the interview? I'm like, no, man. Like, that's fine. Like, send him a thank you after the interview, but you want to follow up after the application. Because otherwise, right, you could have all this stuff in your resume and how you take initiative and you know how to communicate, and they're going to believe what you show them more than what you tell them. So you're going to want to follow up. And by the way, your follow-up does not sound like this. I'm really interested in your job. I'm really passionate about what you do. I know I'd be a good match for you. Don't do that. That's not effective follow-up. Like, don't say those things, right? You want to follow up in a way that serves them, that's about them. And some of you are like, but, oh, Eric, isn't it pushy to follow up? Especially if they have one of those scary notices about don't call us, we'll call you. We're going to be willing to offend in the name of service, right? Like, what they think about me is none of my business when I'm a job applicant. If there was somebody floating face down in the water and I was in that boat, right? And I said, hey, buddy, you okay? And the person didn't move, right? If that happened to you, I bet you jump in the water, you'd swim up, you'd flip them over. You'd even start doing mouth to mouth. And if the person came to you and said, lady, I was just snorkeling, you'd be like, my bad. But you'd be willing to do that in order to save the chance that prevent them from dying. It's the same thing here. Those employers are dying. We're going to follow up from a place of service, right? Now, some of you, I can already see it in the chat, right? Taylor says, how do you follow up when the info isn't provided in the job application? I'm so glad you asked, Taylor. So here's what I want to offer everybody that's listening on this call, right? We're going to put the link to my LinkedIn profile in the chat right now, right? We're going to put it in there because you're like, but how do I follow up? How can I find their contact info? So we're going to put there it is, right? So that's my LinkedIn profile. Go to my LinkedIn right now. Don't accidentally exit the webinar. Like, connect with me, send me an email, and I want you to send me the word, let's come up with a good one, walrus, 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 right? We're going to put that in the chat. This is the word we're going to put in your message to me, this one right here. Not here though. You're going to email me, right? And we will send you a free course about how to contact anybody. So now you no longer have this excuse about, I can't find their contact info, right? So go to my LinkedIn, friend me. Let's put my profile in the chat one more time. Friend me, connect with me, follow me, and then you're going to send me an email just with the word walrus, and we'll write you back and we'll send you that free LinkedIn course. So that's no longer a problem. How's that sound for a great giveaway, right? Because it's not impossible to find people, right? And initiatives rewarded. There's this guy, Ryan Serhant. He writes about this in one of his books. He's a real estate agent in New York City. He really prides himself on being responsive on email, except when people apply to his brokerage. He intentionally doesn't email them back because it's a test. If they email him once, he ignores it. If he emails them again and says, and they're like, oh, thanks, some sort of follow-up, he sends them kind of a discouraging message, sort of like, yeah, go away, right? And if they email a third time, that's when he's like, why don't you come in? Pretend like every job you're applying to is that guy. Follow up 3 times from a place of service, right? Give them acknowledgement or value. Watch miracles happen for you. Right? Yeah. Thank you, Melissa. Hey, let's make sure we give Melissa. Melissa, I know you. You're so awesome, right? We're so glad you're here, right? I know who you are, Melissa. Okay. So we want to show, not tell. It's a real opportunity. Okay. So here we are. Tactic number 7. Here we go. Right? Again, this is one of those things where if you get nothing out of this workshop, this is where when I work with clients, they get huge leverage, right? And this, what we're talking about here is the idea of networking, right? You ever go to see the Academy Awards on TV and some actor, wins some big prize and she goes up there and, there's all this applause and music and she's like, I got nobody to thank. And it's sort of awkward. No, she gets up there and she's like, I got to thank this person and this person, right? And they're trying to drag her off. Asking for help makes us strong, not weak. Those of you who are hand wringing about, ooh, do I put the open to work banner on my LinkedIn? Yeah, put it on there. Why wouldn't you? right? Ask people for help, right? When we ask people for help, it's a gift because we wouldn't ask for their help unless we thought their help was worth asking for, right? And by the way, we don't want to network and ask for help like we've got one fishing line in the ocean, because that requires us getting the right bait on the right fish at the right depth at the right time in the right place. I mean, it could happen, and man, that could take a long time. Instead, what we want to do is filter the ocean because we don't know where the fish are, right? And if we're filtering the ocean, it doesn't matter. We don't have to know. We're going to get them. That's how there are probably hundreds of people that you know that don't know that you're on the job hunt, and even more that don't know that you would welcome their help. What are you waiting for? I'll tell you, you don't have a system for doing it. Gotcha. We can get that handled. Okay. Asking for help makes you look strong. Remember, Brene Brown taught us vulnerability equals trust. Be vulnerable. Tell people you need help. Guaranteed. I mean, I almost think, ask people for help. That's the point. Okay. I'm mindful of time here. I have so many stories and I want to practice what I preach here. Okay. Let's go on to tactic number 8, which are interviews. We're all in the home stretch here, folks. Interviews. Who would like the best interview advice in the world? Right? Who wants it? Here we go. You may want to write this down. Okay. Get something to write with. Here's the advice. I'm about to bestow it. Don't answer their questions. Right? Don't answer their questions, because really in an interview, they're looking to know one thing. Can we trust Zachary or Brian or Jake or Artie? Can we trust them? Right? That's it. That's what they're asking. Right? If we had like a little universal translator here, we could be like, tell me about yourself. And I go, can I trust you? Right? Tell me about a time you've made a mistake. Can I trust you? That's all they're really asking. But because of society or whatever, they don't actually ask that. And even if they did, they wouldn't trust your answer because people are going to believe what we show them more than tell them. So when they ask a question about, tell me your greatest weakness or tell me about a time, instead of answering those questions, we want to instead focus on giving answers and telling stories that help build trust. Now, look, if this is like a technical interview and they're asking you some real technical thing about 1 + 1, sure, like give them the technical answer. But anything other than that, you're going to want to deliver answers and tell stories that help build trust. It's one of the ways I have a lot of clients who are those people that get to, almost, they get second place a bunch of times. They've gotten almost, and then they get the no, like a bunch of times. And then they start working with us and all of a sudden they start getting offers, right? That's how that works. Don't answer their questions. Instead, help build trust. Okay. Final tactic. Here we go. Tactic number 9. Here it is, right? Offers. A lot of people are really fixated on, do I want the job? And am I even qualified? Right? You don't even have to worry about that unless and until you get an offer. Again, I was talking to somebody earlier today, in fact, and they'd been on the job hunt for like 5 months. And I was like, in that time, how many applications have you sent? They're like 20. I'm like, wow, that's like 4 a month. That's like 1 a week. I mean, that's okay, but like, what's up? And they were like, well, a lot of times I don't want to apply for things unless I think I want it. And I'm like, that's okay. But that's an example of like knowing a lot of stuff, right? You don't want to be that person, right? If we're trying to make airplanes fly or cure COVID, we want to know stuff. Job hunting, we want to be curious, right? And we don't have to worry about whether we want a job or we're qualified unless until it's offered. They're going to have an opinion about whether we're qualified. And we actually don't know whether or not we want it until we've gotten an offer. So this in itself can be a game changer. All right, my friends, you guys have been such a great crowd, right? A lot of people here today. So write this down. 4 tactics or 4 strategies, 9 tactics. This is how you get hired fast. Now, some of you are sitting here and you're like, F me. This is different than stuff I've heard before. Yeah, I know, right? Because the stuff you've heard before hasn't been working. I know, right? Some of you are like, I'm going to go try this by myself. And that's okay. And I wish you well. And what happens is I hear from a lot of people about 6 months after they do this workshop. I'm like, Eric, I've been making it about them. I'm like, show me. And they're talking about the drill, not the ceiling, right? The reason I have 4 coaches and I pay them so much money, it makes me want to throw up, is because I get great results, right? You can see the way I've delivered this workshop. It's because I have coaches. Right? Like I've invested a lot, like to have this mindset and to have these insights. This stuff is not Googleable, right? This is stuff that I've gotten through coaching and also like over like a 25-year career, places like the White House, underwater in Guam, the Smithsonian, the Senate. You're not going to be able to Google this stuff, folks. I have a program, right? It's called Get Hired Fast. It's awesome. It's a 3-month program. The guarantee we offer is that if you sign up for our program and you stay with it, we place 100% of the people, right, that sign up for the program. Comes with a lot of stuff, comes with a lot of one-on-one coaching and group coaching, and there's a course, and there's a community that we build. It's awesome, right? It works. Like we don't have to ask the question whether this system works. We have the receipts, right? So here's a bunch of testimonials. These are all clients I really know and love, right? So Jessie, we worked with last year, right? When during the time she worked with us, she got like 3 offers, and she kept getting offers from jobs she didn't want. And then she finally got an offer from the one that she really wanted. And she's in that job now, right? There's Rob. Rob was just starting out in his job search, was actually living overseas at the time. And he's like, hey, I don't want this to take 6 months. I'm like, great, let's get working. We got him hired in about 2.5 months, right? There's Wayne. Wayne got a bunch of offers before he said yes. There's Amy. Amy was in our program. And thing with her is she kept getting really close. She kept coming in kind of second place, and it sucked. And she stayed with it. She's so brave. She's now in an offer, and I just heard from her. I hear from her every so often. She's in a job she loves. There's John, right? He was doing fractional tech CEO stuff, and he's thriving, right? There's Philip, young IT guy, right? Got him hired real damn fast. He got 2 offers at once. There's Jessica, right? She had a lot of stuff going on in her life and was still able to land the job in spite of it, right? There's Angel, right? Actually, let's show them Jessa and Jelly. Let's show them Angel's tape. Let's do that right now, if you would, please. In the time we've got left, I'm curious, especially if there's somebody we haven't heard from yet. They've had a win, a loss. Angel, I got to ask you, what do we know, if anything? What do we know?
I got the job. Yay!
Whoa!
The offer. I'm moving in a week. Yeah, it's crazy. And I know when we first met, you're like, oh, like, let's get something by your birthday. And my birthday is in 4 days. So I was able to do it. Yay.
And I just want to acknowledge you. Like, you dove in, you did it, you did the work.
Thank you.
Way to go.
It would not have been possible without like signing up for this program, truly. I think it made the difference for me.
So good, Angel.
Yeah.
Really happy for you.
Yeah.
Super awesome. Congratulations to you. Yeah. Yep. Angel's out in California right now at her new job. It's awesome. Okay. So some of you are sitting there thinking, you know what? I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing, because you're under the misinterpretation of reality that being on a job search isn't costing you, right? And I love you. And I just want to set the record straight, because if these are the annual salaries you're hoping to make, this is how much it's costing you per month. This is how much it's costing you per week. If by being in a program like this, we can get you hired a couple of weeks faster, you win. And, you know, look, if I was to sit here and be like, oh yeah, Harold and Karen and Patricia, we can absolutely get you hired next month, like, I'd be lying, because I don't know that. And what I can say with 100% certainty is we're going to get you hired faster than you will on your own, or you have been on your own. And the job you get, you're going to get a better offer. We just had a guy, his name was Michael. He just got an offer Friday. I worked with him over the weekend, and he like more than paid for the program just based on the fact that he was able to get a better offer because he had some coaching, right? Yeah, like that. So I see you there on YouTube. You're okay. Don't worry. There's a whole crowd here. Don't worry. I got people from just different places. Okay. So there's a whole system here. We worked on LinkedIn. We work on your cover letters. We work on, you know, your interviews, like everything related to your job search. And the main thing that we work on is your mindset, because you can have all that other stuff dialed in. And if you're dealing with imposter syndrome, or, you know, just like, you know, you're not really in it, or you're having trouble getting motivated, none of the other stuff matters, right? So we start from a really strong foundation, and everybody's different. Some of you are like, oh, but have you ever worked with CEOs or engineers or these kind of people? Yeah, we have. And it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, everybody's unique. So if you are somebody who, you know, is interested in doing this program, sorry, my slide got a little wonky there, right? I just edited it. Yeah, we charge money for the program, right? If you're somebody who values their time more than money, or you realize how much it's costing you to keep doing what you've been doing, we have a link that we're about to give you to sign up to do a call with me and my team. We are coming up against the 4th of July, so we don't have a ton of slots available. I think I've got a few slots this afternoon, and my team does, and then Wednesday, Thursday, we've got some slots and some slots next week. If you're really serious about getting help with your job search and the stuff you've heard on here is different than what you've heard before, sign up and book a call with us. The only thing I ask is a couple things. One, if you book a call, you're going to keep it and you're not going to reschedule it. You're not going to let something less important get in the way of your future, right? I'm sure you're tired of getting ghosted by recruiters. Don't do that yourself, right? Or don't ghost yourself. Two, you're going to be at least open to investing in yourself. If you're sitting here being like, you know what? Like, I cannot pay a dime for somebody to hire me. First of all, I think that's interesting because you're wanting somebody to pay you, yet you're not willing to pay anybody. That's interesting. And you're going to be open to, like, you're ready to get started right away. As long as those three things are open for you. And again, if you're worried about money, that's usually the thing most people are worried about because they're like, I've been out of work. Like, we have payment plans. They start at $200 a month. They're really affordable. A lot of people ask me, they're like, hey, Eric, can I pay you after I get the job? Like, damn near, right? Almost. Again, we have the receipts. The question is not like, does this program work? The question is like, are you wanting to be a different person than the person you've been being? You're wanting to do different things to get different results than the results you've been getting. So if that's true, we're going to drop this in the chat, the link to book a call. You can book it right now. And I look forward to talking to you, right? To figure out what's possible for you. You don't have to keep doing this on your own. I promise you. Yeah. So I'm cheering for you guys, right? Like, when I was out of work, and times I've been out of work, I wish I had this program. I didn't. That's why I created it for you. So, yeah. So this is what it looks like when you sign up. It's awesome. Again, you don't want to be the hamster on the wheel doing the same thing over and over. So let's take some questions. I know we had a bunch of good ones, and I'm going to give you my giant full head, which could be terrifying. But we've got some time here. Actually, not as much time as I like, but let's see. Let's see if we can knock out a couple questions. And we've got a question here. 2 truths and a lie was on the cover letter of the resume. Eric, that was on the resume at the very bottom. I actually put it on my resume now too. 2 truths and a lie. I almost think they brought her in for the interview to get the answer. It doesn't matter. She got the job. So that's up to that. All right, let's do another question here. Isn't the real reason we're in this situation is once we're unemployed, a bias sets in against us? Nava, I love you. And that's an interesting story that you've told yourself, right? And again, I'm not here to say isms aren't a thing. Racism, sexism, ageism, ableism. There are isms in the world. There is nothing fair about this. I'm not going to sit here and say that doesn't exist. And at the end of the day, the reason they're going to hire you is they trust you, right? First of all, I don't think gaps are really an issue. And the extent to which they are, it's just because they see the gap. They don't understand the gap. And now they don't trust the person with the gap, right? And that's an easy fix, right? It's not, the gap is not the reason that that's a problem. It's that they don't trust you, or not you, anybody for that matter. Okay, let's do another question. We'll get as many as you can. Nikki says, aren't the resumes checked and scanned by a robot before they go to HR? I don't know, Nikki. Maybe they are, or maybe they're not. I would argue, and I've talked to a lot of recruiters, at the end of the day, it is a human that makes that decision, right? There is software out there that, and it's different. There's not one version of it. And for us to try and game that system, I mean, I don't want to play that game. The opportunity, instead of trying to trick a computer, is to connect with a human. Let all of your competitors, Nikki, worry about the ATS. The opportunity for you is to connect, because nobody can be a better Nikki than Nikki. Let's do that. That sounds more fun to me. Also more effective. All right. What else do we have here? George, do I have to write different resumes depending on the company I'm applying for? George, is a great question. And if a good resume is about them, we would never want to send the same resume to more than one place, because if we did, at least one of them would be misaddressed. So I hear you saying, but gosh, that sounds like a pain in the rear. It's not if you have a system for doing it. It's one of the things that we offer in the course, right, in the program, right? We help you come up with a system for people seeing your resume and being like, damn, this guy, George, it's like he was made for us, right? We feel seen, heard, and understood. This guy gets what keeps us up at night when we look at the ceiling. That's what we're after. All right. Any other questions? So Joe said, sorry, I mispronounced your name. How do you find quality versus quantity in determining which job to apply for? So it's not so much the quality or quantity of the job as much as it is the application you're sending, right? So if you're sending the same generic resume to 100, I would much rather somebody send one application a week that has great follow-up, great networking, that's about them, than 10 a week or 100 a week, right? That's what we're after, right? But once we get a system for having that quality, we have a system for follow-up, system for resumes, system for networking. That's when we turn up the volume, and that's where things really start to happen. But again, that requires that one having a system for doing that. Yeah. All right. What else we got here, guys? George again says, is trust gained by detailing my experiences? Nah, it's not, because that'd be about you. Trust is gained by talking about their experiences. That's the difference. Great question. Okay. What else do we have here? John says, when hundreds of applicants apply for a job in minutes, they don't have the power to sort through all those in every app. I don't disagree, John, which is why we don't want to just apply through the app. We're going to want to have systems for circumventing that whole kabuki dance, right? And finding a real person so that they can knock on the back door of HR and be like, John, this one, I want to talk to John, but we have all these resumes. I don't care. I'm dying over here, right? HR, like, let me talk to John. Can't tell you how often that happens for my clients. All right. Any other questions? Cedric says, do you help with independent contractors? So interestingly, yeah, we do. So sometimes the people we work with, Cedric, are people who are like, I either want the job or I want a contract. I'm not sure which. And we work with them. And sometimes what happens is whichever comes out first. And sometimes it can happen. A bunch of different ways. That's how that happens. Okay. Taylor says, can you give an example of how you would answer a give us an example when question in an interview to build trust? So let's say, Taylor, you just asked me that. Let's put that question back up if you don't mind, right? Let's say Taylor asked me that question and she said, I think it's a Taylor. I think you're a she, Taylor. Sorry if I got that wrong. Taylor asks, can you tell us about a time where you've answered a question in an interview to build trust? And I would be like, sure. Or why don't I just show you? And I'd say something like, Taylor, the fact that you stuck through this whole workshop and you even had the initiative to ask a really good question at the end says so much about like how you're treating your job search. And Taylor, I don't know you at all. I've never met you, but I can already, so there's the first I, right? That I can already tell a lot about you just based on the fact that you're here, right? You could be off, watching Netflix and you're not. You're spending your time at this workshop. That really says a lot about you, Taylor. So nice work. That's sort of how I might build trust. And by the way, let's make sure we send Taylor that LinkedIn course, right? Or Taylor, the other thing I might do is I might be like, yeah, Taylor, I don't know if you noticed, but like during this workshop, my dog was barking and there was a guy with a weed whacker outside. I have no idea if that picked up on the microphone. Like I'd offer a little bit of vulnerability. Those are all true, by the way. I don't know if you guys heard those things. Those are true. Real life. Okay. What other questions do we have? We got quite time for two more. Patricia, can you talk again about the last tactic? So the last tactic would be, our offers, right? So like, yeah, I guess I didn't really talk too much, but when it comes to offers, right, we can live in a land of possibility. So if they offer us an offer, right, rather than saying, and I see people booking calls, that's awesome, good job, right? Like rather than spend a lot of time and energy like judging an offer, we can just be curious. Hey, employer, you want somebody who can do this and 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 this, and you want the best person. How can I do that for this amount? Silence. And then they'll be like, that's a good question. And you might get a different answer, right? There's a lot there, Patricia. If you're wanting to get some offers and know how to field them, like book a call with us. All right, last question here. Derek heard the dog. Thanks, Derek. I appreciate that. Okay, Nikki says, I love the link suggestion versus bullet points under each experience. Yeah, bullet points are fine. Do I write a brief story? You can write a brief story, right? This is such a great question. Do you have a resume example? I sure do. It's something my clients get. I've been on short-term jobs. Do I list them? Because it depends, right? It depends on the story you want to tell, Nikki. It depends on the story you want to tell. So look, my friends, sorry, I know there's a lot of questions here. If we didn't get to your question, I so appreciate your being here. And if you're looking for help with this stuff, you don't have to do it on your own. Let's put the link to book a call one more time. And I know the calendar's filling up because I can see my phone going off, right? There I can see every time yeah. So like book a call with me and my team, no strings attached other than if we think we can help you, like we're going to take a stand for that. And again, the only requirement is you're at least open to the idea of investing in yourself. You're ready to get started now. And you're going to show up, right? Like don't ghost us, man, because that just sucks. And I don't have that big of a team and it just keeps other people who are ready to move forward from from doing so. But regardless, guys, I really acknowledge you being here. Please know there are bright things. Hey, Brian, we look forward to talking to you. Like, there are bright things on the horizon for you. 100% there are bright things on the horizon for you. And if you're wanting to get this job stuff figured out faster and easier and less expensive, like, you're welcome, Adam, right? Like, let's get this job thing handled. You don't have to do this on your own. And just so you know, I am 100% cheering for you. Nicole Lang, we look forward to talking to you as well. Really acknowledge everybody for being here. And I hope everybody has a happy, safe holiday. By the way, while most people were out getting ready for the holiday, you guys showed up here. That is super awesome. So take satisfaction in that. And you can do more, right? You can make sure that your July is going to start different than the last however many months you've been doing this. So just saying, look forward to talking to you soon, my friend. Take care.